Hi, and welcome to Michigan Matters. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra is America's fourth oldest, as it's been at the center of Detroit's musical heartbeat for over 130 years. With the new season about to kick off, we're going to talk with its CEO and a corporate leader supporting the organization as they share what's new. Then the roundtable's waiting in the wings to talk a little politics, with the Detroit mayor's race kicking into high gear and a lot of other things. There's tons going on. Let's get started.
From CBS Detroit, this is Michigan Matters with Carol Kane. Michigan Matters is brought to you in part by Henry Ford Health.
And we're so pleased to welcome Mike Bickers, who's the regional president of Detroit and Southeast Michigan for PNC Bank, and Erik Rönmark, the president and CEO of Detroit Symphony Orchestra, who's been there for 20-some years, and I can't believe this is the first time we've met. How you doing?
Doing great, Carol. Thanks for having us.
Well, appreciate that. And how has summer been going for you both?
Fantastic. It's been great.
Well, and what in the summertime, what does the DSO do?
Summertime, we still have a lot of concerts around the city. Our 4th of July concerts at Greenfield Village.
Yeah.
We go up to Interlochen to work with the students up there. And now the musicians are on a little bit of break as we gear up for the start of our season here at the end of September.
Well, let's talk about that too. So DSO, I did not even realize this. It's the fourth oldest symphony in the United States?
Fourth oldest, yes.
And it's over 130 some years old?
We have a great legacy and a great history of artistic excellence, but also a tremendous focus on music education.
Yeah.
We were the first orchestra in the U.S. to hire a director of education back in the 1920s. So it's very close to our heart.
So Detroit is ringleader and trailblazing along the way, even in the music industry
in
too.
So many ways.
So many ways here. Mike, PNC has been an ardent champion for DSO for years. And why is music so important?
Well, it's critically important when you think about music and culture in our communities and keeping that alive. It's Detroit, it's Southeast Michigan, it's Michigan. And so we're thrilled to always be partnering, especially this time of year as Erik and I and his great team, Jill Elders and others, get to kick off the two different types of seasons around the DSO.
Well, and in fact, let's talk about that a second. That PNC is the sponsor of the Pops series, which is more modern music that the DSO is doing, right?
Yeah, that is correct. I get to, the hardest part to that is when Erik forces me to get on that stage to kind of kick off the Pops series in front of all of these wonderful people that come to see the music. And this year we're going to be featuring the music of Journey and I think Billy Joel and Home for the Holidays, so it's going to be exciting.
Wow. And I know, Erik, you're a musician as well, right? I don't know, Mike, are you a musician at all?
No.
No? Okay, you're just a bank president who's really good at his job and knows the community. And so you are a musician too, right?
Yes, I came here to study music and then ended up in Detroit. And thankfully they had a job at the DSO and I worked my way up and it's been a wonderful
you're running
experience.
in here. So one of the things that's really unique too about DSO is the collaborations that you have. You have some really strong ones. PNC obviously is an important one too. And pulling all these things together and it's obviously having someone in charge of education from the 1920s on. Community is a big forefront about what the DSO is doing, right?
Right. And I mean, that's the thing. Detroit is in the name. Right, with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and so there's always been a focus on the city. I think a lot of people might be surprised to know that even though we do 150, 160 concerts at Orchestra Hall, we do about 200 workshops and events around the city every year. We have close to 300 partners, PNC of course being very close to us, but a lot of different partners. So when we do work with students, when we pair them with instruments, we make sure that we also partner them with the right organizations in their neighborhoods.
So I want folks at home to see, we have a music box that you have been giving out to children in pre-K in Detroit Public Schools and has instruments, right, as part of this learning to love music and maybe be good and be a musician one day, right?
Right, but it's also about just expressing yourself.
Right.
We know how important it is for kids in particular. Well, go ahead and try it.
I can't control myself.
Yeah.
There we go. Mike, all right, you want to do this here? Well, let's the tone. There we go with the tone. This is actually a musical instrument.
I'd like to see
I think I can do this.
Perfect.
Is that the right one?
It sounds like a Carlos Santana type of song right there. And there's cards that you give out to the kids where they can like scan it and then it tells them
Correct.
about the music and stuff. It's all about learning and making it fun, right?
It is, and this is where PNC's Grow Up Great that we partner with them on. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, so we just to give context to just think about how powerful this is. So you think about DSO, PNC, Detroit Public Schools, community schools, coming together, and then the 24 and 25 season, the DSO sent over 130, actually 260 partners to the 130 pre-K schools or classes to get into the music journey and all the activities involved, call and response, rhythm, movement. So it's fabulous. And at the end, they get this wonderful educational toolbox.
Yeah, so we have, and this is also a great partnership with the Kellogg Foundation who helps us put these boxes together. But every pre-K classroom in DPSCD has one of these toolboxes, and to date we've given out almost 1,000 of these to libraries, to schools, and it's just an amazing way for children to express themselves, and then we try to bring them to Orchestra Hall and experience that magic.
Wow. My guess is after this airs, you're going to have other schools reaching out, so I hope you have more stockpiled somewhere
We
there.
never say no to new partnerships.
All right. Keep it right here. We're going to take a break and be back with more Michigan Matters right after this. Welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with Mike Bickers, the PNC Bank, and Erik Rönmark of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. And Mike, PNC being such a big champion of the DSO, and particularly not only just having more music in the region, but exposing young people about it. I know that's been a focus of yours as well.
Yes. So if you think about, as Erik mentioned earlier, our Grow Up Great program basically focused on kids from age of 0 to 5. It's just a huge part of the DNA of PNC and our stand for community and kids and families. And so what you'll see throughout the year from us are activities with so many great partners, including, of course, the DSO, focused on children. So like my leadership team and I will go out starting, I think, October, November, where we've adopted about 30 schools and read to those kids. They always give me the book with more pictures than words, which is great.
Is there a book of choice you like on this?
I typically pick the thinnest one, but the kids are so excited to see us come out and take them through, so I get the pleasure of going over to Schultz Academy each year with Ms. Jordan's class and talk them through that. And a lot of those books contain musical stories or stories navigated through music, which is awesome. And so one of our favorite events is when we're able to get down, usually in May, to the DSO and invite 600 or 700 of our closest little friends from Detroit Public Schools to enjoy a concert and lunch and activities. So it's fantastic.
It's a big thing.
It is a big deal.
Well, and Erik, you also, to dovetail on that a little bit here, you have your learning series that helps teachers and educators learn more about this so they can help young people in the classroom too, right?
Right. It's all about that connection, and that's why partnerships like these are so important, because we really get to connect with kids across the city. And then, of course, as Mike said, if we can bring them to Orchestra Hall, whether it's through Grow Up Great or it's through our educational concert series that brings 12,000 Detroit school kids to Orchestra Hall every year. I mean, it's those first experiences that creates that love for life.
They love music, and also maybe a future musician. You never know here.
You never know.
Well, besides the pop series, which PNC is sponsoring, Jim Nicholson and his family are sponsors of the DSO Classical Series, and I know Jim and his family have also been champions for the DSO, he and his wife and family, for years. And what's the Classical Series? What's that entail?
Well, our classical series is our main series. We kick off our season here in October. We have our gala in September, but our main series, our PNC Pops and our PVS Chemicals Classical Series, they all kick off in October. Fantastic concerts, variety across both series, but also within the series. So there really is something for everyone there.
Well, and you also, coming up for your holiday concert, you have Trisha Yearwood, which is kind of an interesting combo.
Well, this is what's great when we have the opportunities to partner with really great artists, and it's not just on the classical series, with Trisha Yearwood coming in, but we also do movies with the orchestra. We have our Young People series. There's just so much for everyone, but it's great to hear the artistry of our musicians with these great artists coming into Detroit.
And you also have your big gala on September 27th. It's a dinner, and what will people see there? It's a great event. What will people see this time?
So we have our music director, Yada Binyamini, always conducts our gala. We have a superstar tenor, Juan Diego Flores. It'll be a fun evening of operatic themes. But it's not just a sit-down dinner. Of course, we love to have people join us for that, but we really want this evening to be for everyone.
Right.
You can buy tickets to just come to the concert, and you still have that red carpet experience. You get to dress up a little bit, have a glass of champagne in the lobby, and come in and just experience music together, because I think that's what we all need right now, just to be in a space together and enjoy music.
Break up the stress a little bit here. So, Mike, your preference, classical music or popular music? Which is your
I like them both. As I said earlier, I can listen to pretty much anything, but whenever I get to go to the DSO, whatever they're serving up, so to speak, is always enjoyable. So I'm thinking about the Motown piece, and then Queen last year. It's just so, the variety is incredible.
You never know what you're going to get, which is great.
So you need to like a lot of things, but it's great.
Right. And coming up in September, Eric, the community concerts, which DTE Foundation is sponsoring at the Greater Grace in Detroit and the Hawk in Farmington Hills. So in September, what can people see? Where do they need to go?
Well, so these are great concerts and a great partnership with DTE. They're free concerts, so it's a great way to just come out. We're at the Hawk in a Greater Grace. Our new assistant conductor, Ingrid Martin, who's coming all the way from Australia to be with us for the next couple of years. These will be her first concerts. And it's a great way to just bring your family. It's probably about an hour-long concert, and you can just enjoy it with your friends.
Just real quickly here, is it on the weekend, weeknights? What day of the...
It's a Friday and Saturday.
So Friday and Saturday night or day?
Night.
And so people can go on your website and see all the details of it?
You can find out everything on dso.org.
Do they need to register?
No, I don't think so.
So just show up here. Well, that's a great thing here. Mike, will you be going? I know you'll be going to the gala.
The gala, it's, like Eric said, you get to dress up, and these days, whenever I can put a tuxedo on, it's a good day. So look forward to that, and certain of the other concerts. And my wife Barbara, she loves to get ready for these things, so she's excited.
And so many people do. Thousands show up for that. I know that's your big fundraiser, too, for the year.
It is, and it really supports music education for us. As I mentioned before, it's so central to our mission, and this is a great evening to support that.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Enjoyed the conversation. So I look forward to the 27th and hearing a little more music out there in the Motor City.
Thank you, Carol.
Keep it right here. We're back with the Roundtable, where the music may be a little bit of a different tune right after this. And welcome back. The Roundtable's here as we say hello to Susie Avery, who's the former chair of the Michigan Republican Party, amongst many other titles that she has. Michael Griffey, who is the Michigan leader of AEM-COM, or ACOM as we like to call it, and Nancy Kaffer, who's the editorial page editor of the Detroit Free Press, my friend. Welcome to the show for the first time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
I know, we've talked about this numerous times. It never just seems to work out here.
Well, here we are.
Here we are. An epic time in politics. So let's talk about this. This week may have been one of the more interesting early developments in the gubernatorial race, and that is Mike Duggan, who's running as an independent after leaving the Democratic Party behind, held a big event with over 200 elected officials from both sides of the political spectrum and other things, and labor leaders and so forth, to support his bid. Politics makes strange bedfellows. This much we know. Michael, you have been around politics, involved, run for office yourself. What do you think of his effort to run as an independent?
I think he has an uphill battle. To be honest with you, I think, when you see the Michigan Democratic Party chair wish the elected officials for those state board of education and the university boards, telling them after they stood next to Mike Duggan, I wish you well in your independent run for re-election.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking names.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's going to be just a glimpse of what's to come.
This is going to be bombastic. And Susie, David Trott was up there, former reps. The Orion Township Supervisor, Chris Barnett, friend of Brian Barnett, brother of, who's on the show. Right. Other Republicans up there who spoke, in fact, at this event. What does that say about the state of the governor's race now when you have some pretty high-profile Republicans already breaking ranks with the party, coming on board with Duggan? I mean, what does this say?
I think it says that Mike Duggan is something unto himself. I mean, I do not see that kind of bipartisan support coming out for very many people running for any office, and his running for governor, in that he has been known around the state of Michigan for many years. I mean, went up with Ed McNamara, obviously, and he is a person who has developed many networks and friendships, and I think that has paid off.
And Nancy, you have been a political observer for years now, and this governor's race, which technically is still a year away, it's not like it's next week, this is next year, but it's like, man, there are already waves and tidal waves going on in this whole thing. Where does this leave the other Republican and Democratic candidates?
So Duggan, Mike is right. This is an uphill battle. This is a heavy lift, and we're all, Duggan is the guy who gets stuff done. He's the guy who ran as a write-in from Livonia. We're so accustomed to thinking of him as the guy who can do things, but this is still a lot of work. He's got to overperform with Democrats, Republicans, and independents. And right now, he's really trying to distinguish himself as not just a Democrat pretending to be an independent, because for 40 years, he has been one of the most prominent Democrats in the state of Michigan, right? So right now, he's kind of coming down, like a lot of the videos he's posting on Instagram are very critical of Democrats in Lansing, critical of both parties, but he's really, I think, pushing hard on Democrats because I think he wants Republicans to see that to believe that this is not a tactic. But he also has to do well with Democrats. So I think this is a very tricky path to follow here.
Yeah, and how many of the people following them, I mean, these are leaders, are going to a year from now vote for him? That's the other thing. You have people on stage, those folks will likely vote for him, but I mean, as this goes on, when you start having the traditional Republicans, the traditional Democrats who are going to pull the lever one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think to Nancy's point, the kind of leaning against Democrats can actually hurt him. Because in my opinion, I think, the Democratic likely voter has more disdain for Donald Trump, and he's starting to kind of cozy up to Donald Trump a little bit more. And I think those folks have more disdain for Donald Trump than Republicans have for Gretchen Whitmer
But
right
I
now.
have to say, when I was state party chair, before there was indoor plumbing, I realized a long time ago, and Carol knows the story, I did a poll, and who would you vote for if you took away everything, man, woman, white, black, all the labels, who would you vote for? Number one reason, you vote for the person you have met. The second reason is if you would vote for the person who might have, a friend of yours who might have met that candidate. So that's why all this publicity, getting to know, I mean, that's why door-to-door, of course, is the most effective.
And the other thing, too, is that Duggan showed when he ran for governor the first time, he was Charlie Hustle out there, I mean, with all the basement meetings around. He went to, I don't know how many hundreds of these meetings he had, but went through and did just what you're talking about there, which is the old retail politicking.
But in Metro Detroit, he has a Glengarriff Group poll out in May, just before the Mackinac Policy Conference, found that Duggan has 86% name recognition in Metro Detroit, which is huge, and 54% approval rating, which is also huge. That's like comparable to Whitmer, who is an unusually popular governor. Outstate, those numbers just drop, like it's 30%-ish name recognition, and I want to say like a 7% approval rating, because there are a lot of people in this part of the state for whom Detroit is not a positive brand.
Which I know that he will be all over the state as he did for the mayors here.
Part of what he's got to do there.
Yeah, there's a big challenge here. Well, there's more to talk about here, but you know what? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Michigan Matters on the Roundtable right after this. And welcome back to Michigan Matters. We're talking with Susie Avery, Michael Griffey, and Nancy Kaffer about what else? Politics. So there is a mayoral race going on. We had the primary in early August. Mary Sheffield dominated. The Reverend Kinlock came in second place. Hence, they're facing off now in November. Michael, I know you have been following this race very closely. The difference was she got 50.8% and Solomon got 17.3%. Can he make up the difference?
I think it would be very difficult for him to make up the difference. I would say this, Carol. 4 or 5 months ago, you asked me about who the top two were going to be, and I said it was going to be Mary Sheffield and Solomon Kinloch.
You did say that.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap for that. But Mary Sheffield getting 51% of the vote in a 9-person primary was a dominating performance.
And Susie, real quickly, I know that you have spoken often about the ground, getting out, the grassroots politicking. Right. If the Reverend spent much of his time going out and doing the type of thing Mike did, running for mayor, basement meetings, going around the city. Would that be enough to help?
Yeah, you got the general races are usually based on the vote, get out the vote. I mean, that is the whole deal. Get out the vote. You can get walking lists, you can buy walking lists from people, and you can do all this kind of stuff. But the main thing is you got to get and not stay in your silo. Not stay in what your friends are saying. You have to get out, and it can be kind of scary at times. I mean, because you have to go into places that you've never been.
Comfort level is not what running for politics is
about. And sleep. You'll need
there you go.
A little bit much sleep.
As you do the money chase on top of getting voters here. Nancy, the Detroit Free Press has been taking an interesting look and a deep dive into voting trends in Detroit and across the state. Let's just focus on Detroit in this case. What do you see as far as this Detroit race and making up the difference, because the absentee ballots go out in just a few weeks here?
Yeah, I mean, you never know, and the board resets after the primary. There are 2 candidates, there were 9, but it is a commanding lead, and seems very, very challenging for him to make up. What we've been doing this deep dive into voter turnout, what we found is that voter turnout in Detroit municipal elections has fallen by 21 percentage points over the last 20 years, even while participation in gubernatorial and presidential contests has remained pretty consistent, though lower compared to the rest of the state. And what we've also found is when you look at the map of Detroit, heavy voter turnout in Palmer Woods, Sherwood Forest, Green Acres. One candidate we spoke to off the record called it Victory Row, like this whole area. You got Indian Village, Corktown. You've got these areas where there's heavy turnout. Then there's mid turnout in other parts of the city, and really very, very low. There's a whole swath of Detroit where 1 in 3 in 10 people vote, and someone has to get out and talk to those folks.
One thing that we have talked about often, and that is voter fatigue with politics. I know we live and breathe this, and it's exciting stuff, but the average voter, when they need to pay attention, particularly we're talking about the governor's race and the U.S. Senate race, which we're not going to have much time for here, that's still a year away. Meanwhile, we've got this race here. Are people paying attention to all the things being regurgitated in the media about it, one way or the other, whatever candidate you're supporting, what have you?
I would say Detroiters, the thing that gets lost, people are going back to school, and they're trying to get school supplies, and they're trying to figure out how to get to that second job when their transportation's going out. So a lot of times the political race that's happening a few weeks later is at the back burner, right? And I think we got to keep that in mind. I think both candidates should keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I know you both have children going back to school right now here, and we could talk about what's going up in Lansing with the impasse that's going on the state budget. Will anything be worked out anytime soon?
That's I'm not going to even try to predict that. I hope so.
I'm hearing there's going to be a government shutdown, unfortunately.
Which, going back to our other point.
These things are cyclical, I have to say. It goes up and down. I mean, I've been around for 2 government shutdowns in Michigan. I've been, and so it's going to be... It's going to be interesting. There's been some problems in the Senate with the Dems, and there's been, we need more discussion. Everybody says we need more discussion. But,
and everybody, when they talk about this, I don't care what the candidate is, talks about the state of education, how it needs to be improved, and unfortunately, that's kind of locked up in the middle of all this stuff too, right?
Unfortunately, you are correct. We're reaching the bottom third of states.
So I hate to say this, folks, but we're out of time. We'll just have to regroup and do this again as we talk about more things like that Senate race, and we'll find out how your kids are enjoying their new classrooms and all that kind of stuff. So thank you at home. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks you at home for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next Sunday for a little bit more Michigan Matters. Take care.